From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London. A busy week this week, lots of socialising. We had the Cricket Writers Club annual awards, the annual lunch, the first one since 2019, and we just dished out awards to male and female players, including 17-year-old Alice Capsey. Remember that name? Of course, she burst onto the scene during the 100 competition this year. Also went to the Hammersmith Apollo Theatre, where England's greatest ever fast bowler, James Anderson, was performing on stage. It was a live version of his Tailenders podcast, which you can also get on the BBC. He was playing the guitar and all sorts. I mean, as if Jimmy Anderson has played the Hammersmith Apollo. But there you go. And it was great fun.
Well, I hope you picked up a couple of tips there, Ali, because we're looking forward to your guitar playing when you come out for the Ashes. We're looking forward to everyone coming out for the Ashes. It looks like things are warming up there, and good news for people in Sydney is that on Monday, 107 days of lockdown will come to an end, and we can go and have a haircut and socialise. Think of that. It's huge.
Yeah, I empathise with that. I'm Sunil Gupta for All India Radio New Delhi, where the IPL is reaching its climax, and enthralling one it promises to be, with the possibility of Virat Kohli winning it for the very first time and then relinquishing the captaincy on a high. But the big news, and the biggest news certainly for me this week, was the command performance, and I call it a command performance, put up by the Indian women in the day-night test in Australia. And remember, it was the first ever they played, and that too in Australia, with that magnificent century by Smriti Mandhana, the highlight of a terrific all-round performance that could so nearly have resulted in a test win had it not been for the weather. So I think that was absolutely the highlight of the week for us here in India.
Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it, Sunil and Jim, just the attention that a test match gets, whether it's men's or women's. It really is a test, the extra scrutiny that is on the players. And Mandana was absolutely wonderful as well. And it brought forth so much more extra debate again and chat on social media around the women's game, the evolution of it, how much test cricket should be played, what that format should look like. But it was a really good match, I think, despite, some low scoring, some slow scoring at times. But I think we will hopefully see more of it. And I think those players showed that they are more than capable of playing long test innings and giving us some thrill as well. Well, we're reaching the crucial stages of the Indian Premier League, with qualifiers and eliminators to come before we find out who will be the tournament's 2021 champions. One of the players hoping he'll be in that showpiece final once again is South African fast bowler Kagiso Rabada, a man who has been mastering the art of fast bowling for many a year now, and he's playing for Delhi Capitals in the IPL, and he joins us on Stumped. Kagiso, great to have you with us. It's been, 4 years since you made your IPL debut now. How are you enjoying your time in the UAE at the moment for the second part of this tournament?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. Yes, it's been 4 years now, and with one team. And when we first started off, we were just a group of, youngsters with just raw talent. And now I guess you can see the whole squad is just maturing. We've had a few inclusions into the team with certain players who've had a lot of experience. And we're shaping up quite nicely. And I've enjoyed this year's IPL, basically all the years. But this year, we have given ourselves a really, really good chance.
Yeah, and just speaking about yourself again, your own development as a cricketer since joining Delhi Capitals even, how do you compare yourself to that first season that you played in the IPL?
I guess when I first started, I was just a lot more raw and just relying on my natural ability. And I guess over the years, you mature as a player and you start to use a lot more game plan and a lot more strategy, which is something that you kind of forced to learn, because at this level, players are continuously working each other out, and it's a bit of cat and mouse if you ask me. But I would say the only thing that's been the difference is just trying to be a bit more scientific about the game and not just relying too much on your natural instinct, although your natural instinct is always something that you should fall back on.
How does that manifest itself in your game plans and strategy? Because, it's been a successful campaign so far for Delhi Capitals. And I wonder how do you feel about those performances, and how do you translate that literally into your game plans?
I mean, there's a lot of cricket talk that's floating around the circuit: ball wide, ball straight, ball slow, balls. But I guess it just comes with experience, realizing what works where, because cricket is such a game of variables. Each player is unique. Each batter is unique. They hit different angles. They have different strengths, different weaknesses, and you kind of have to work that out. I mean, there's analysts that are involved in the game now who pick up stats on where batters hit, what bowlers bowl, and that information is shared with all of us. Bowlers meetings these days and batters meetings these days are actually compulsory because everyone is doing it, and so you can't get left behind. But I think what's really important and what is the differentiator is actually your personal instinct as well. So I think it's a combination, and I think that's what we have been doing well. We have matured on the tactic side, but I think that raw ability, it just manifests and creates the unexplainable. And I think that's what makes us good.
Jim Maxwell in Sydney. Tell us about Ricky Ponting as a coach.
Ricky, I think, is a phenomenal coach. I was quite excited to work with him when I found out that he was going to be the Delhi coach. When I was growing up, he was a part of the era that I was watching a lot. That's the era that made me, want to play cricket at the highest level. That's where I was understanding the game more and more, and learning about different players. And he was right at the top. We're in a successful team as well. And I think you can see the passion that he's got for the game. And it's fantastic to pick his brain, the way he goes about, decoding the game, analyzing the game, emotively as well. You can see why he was such a great player. Emotively, he sets really high standards, and he's got a winner's mindset, and he's definitely rubbing all of his traits onto the players, and it's something that I've extremely enjoyed.
Strong analysis. Now, Anrik Nortje is having a great campaign. How nice is it to link up with a fellow South African in the tournament?
I think, it's amazing to be bowling with him, and it's nice because we can always share game plans. We can tell each other about a lot of things since we played together at South Africa as well. So that's quite nice to have him there, all the time. I think bowling is something you do in partnerships, and it would be great it's great to have him around because we spend more time together. And when you talk of a bowling attack, like I said, you talk of partnerships, and it's great to have an understanding of your fellow bowler.
This is Sunil Gupta in New Delhi for All India Radio. And last year you had Shreyas Iyer as your captain. What's Rishabh Pant like as a leader?
I think he's very relaxed. We all know that MS Dhoni is his role model. So, you can see sometimes he tries to portray some of his qualities. But at the same time, Rishabh he's a fearless cricketer. He doesn't lose his cool. I think he's got a good temperament, and he's a good thinker of the game, and he's also open-minded, which I like. What I like about him is that he wants the best for the team, and he puts the team ahead of himself, and I think that's what we have been doing well as a squad. When I first joined, we just wanted to announce our names on the world stage and just do amazing things, and that's something that we have done. But now, as the times have rolled on, we've started putting in more team performances. You rarely see someone just winning the game single-handedly, which is also a great thing. What you see in the camp now is a lot of players leading their own space and also leading the team. And what's been great is that we've been really familiar with each other because we've played together for 4 or 5 years. Now you have a whole lot of minds who have the best interests of the team, and players who have matured, leading their own space and leading where they can in the team. And I think that helps Rishabh.
Last year, as I said, you got to the final and you lost it. And I know that you must be desperate to win it this time. What's the talk in the dressing room about that extra step that you need to take to win this time round?
Putting me on the spot, yeah. Everyone is extremely determined to win. I wouldn't say desperate, though. It's a fine line. But everyone is extremely determined. And that's the sense in the camp. What it would take is just a bit more application. The way we've been playing now, we've certainly been doing that. But we know that you can't take any game for granted here.
Have you got used to living in quarantine, being in these bio bubbles now? Are you still able to keep your mind on the game?
I think these bubbles are extremely challenging. They've tried to cater for the players. It's bittersweet. I mean, we get preferential treatment, but we can't get out the room. We can't go explore. I mean, at times, I won't even lie, like at times, and I think it's a normal thing. Sometimes you just feel down and it can just hit you at any time. You know you're going to snap out of it. I'll speak personally, but sometimes you just feel down and it's normal. That's what these types of environments can do to you. At the end of the day, we're here for cricket and we're here to do the best that we can and take it all the way. So I guess that's a motivating fact. But I don't think these bubbles could be sustainable. It is a catch-22 if you have a look at COVID and how the virus can spread and what damage it can do. But I don't think these bubbles are sustainable. I reckon something needs to be done in time to come. However, at the moment, I don't think I have the right to complain about too much. I think we still get to play cricket. We still get to earn a living. But if I'm being too critical, I think that the bubbles are not sustainable.
I think that view would be shared by a number of players as well. So you'll go from the IPL into T20 World Cup just now. On a cricketing sense, do you think that having played in the IPL, that will sort of help you to help South Africa's cause? Because you will have been in T20 mode and you've been playing cricket in the lead up. How do you rate South Africa's chances?
Well, we're going to go in there believing. Otherwise, you might as well not go. But I think, yes, definitely playing in these conditions and playing, as you say, being in the T20 format and drilling that and getting those skills up to date. This tournament definitely helps with that, especially because you're playing in a high pressure tournament against quality players. So I think there's no better preparation. However, it's all about how a team plays as a collective. So when I get back together with the South African team, 100% we will believe.
This is probably quite a broad question to finish with, but since you burst onto the scene, not only, of course, all the talk about your bowling talents, your fast bowling, but also you as a role model for other young black South Africans. Do you embrace that as a privilege? Does it also come with a certain pressure?
I don't see it as a pressure. If you have a look at the socioeconomic context of our country, it's definitely one that has come from many challenges. And the most obvious one would be race. I do have a responsibility to give back. I don't feel pressure being in the position that I am. I just feel as if it's something that's innate in me, in which I feel that I have to do. At the same time, I wasn't raised to hate another race. I wasn't raised to, have any bad intentions towards anyone. However, I will always stand for what I believe is right. The situation in South Africa states that there are a lot of people who are underprivileged. For instance, if you look at myself, I had the opportunity, a person of color, I had the opportunity to come on the world stage, allow my talent to shine through. I want to do the same for others. It can only strengthen our cricket if we get more people who are underprivileged to take part, because you got such a large amount of the country who are not productive. It's not helping anything. People complain about crime, people complain about, no education, but there's only one way to solve that, and that's to empower. There's only so much someone can do, but at least do my bit.
Kagiso, you speak very powerfully. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you on Stumped as well. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of time, and good luck for the remainder of the IPL and indeed the T20 World Cup.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Kagiso Rabada, Jim, Sunil.
Yes, very eloquent, well-spoken, thoughtful young man. I think he's got a big future there beyond just being a fast bowler. And as a fast bowler, he's probably up there with the greatest strike bowlers in the history of the game, if you look at his record in Test cricket. So he's already got a star billing, and he sounds like a quietly spoken version of Michael Holding, doesn't he?
I was thinking very similar. Jim, listening to him. And of course, mindful of, for him, wanting to have interests beyond and outside cricket as well, and clearly getting a footing into the business world as well, mindful of, I suppose, being broader than just the game, which we all know can be all-consuming, and particularly when you're inside bubbles as well. On the IPL, Sunil, go on then, who's impressed you so far in the tournament, and who are you tipping?
Well, I think it's gone well in the UAE, really. Breaking it up into two parts, after 5 months or whatever. And the great thing about this IPL, it's gone right down to the wire. With the fourth finalist being decided on the very last day of the league. So that brought its own excitement. And I think that, as KG said, they have that little extra motivation go all the way. Or the one who has all the motivation, as I said at the beginning, is Virat Kohli. He has to go out on a high. So I think these things play a huge role. Will it cause an implosion? Do you push just too hard and you break apart? That's cricket, and that's what's going to be happening. But I think that, if you look at MSK, for instance, or MSD rather, he's got one more. He's looking for one more feather in his cap. And that cap is beginning to resemble what was called the Native American war bonnet. So many feathers in his cap. So he wants to have another one added to it. So I think it's going to be quite an exciting finale.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week on Stumped here on All India Radio. My thanks to Sunil Gupta, Jim Maxwell, and to you all for listening. And don't forget to keep in touch with the show during the week. We're at BBCWS Sport. Use the hashtag BBC Stumped. In the meantime, stay safe and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Stumped is a BBC sport production for the BBC World Service in association with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and All India Radio.